Hello everyone, my name is Kirti and I am an assistant professor in ITM. Today I am going to discuss the concept of bank lending in banking and insurance. Introduction. Lending, which is also known as financing, occurs when someone allows another person to borrow something. Money, property or another asset is given by the lender to the borrower with the expectation that the borrower will either return the asset or repay the lender. When people or organizations such as banks lend you money, they give it to you and you agree to pay it back at a future date, often with an extra amount as interest. When a borrower is granted a loan from a bank, the bank will often want from the borrower to mortgage or pledge such tangible asset as a collateral security for the protection of their loan amount. Taking effective security over an asset means that the bank can, on the insolvency of the borrower, take possession of that asset, sell it, and use the proceeds to repay the loan. This puts the bank in a stronger position than creditors who do not have security. So the crux of the bank lending is the bank is providing lend facility to the public, either individuals or industries or companies or big manufacturers, right? So they are asking for a collateral security, either movable or immovable goods, depending on the type of loan you are taking, so that if the borrower become insolvent at any time, so bank is able to take the possession of that particular asset. Now move to principle of sound lending. It means while providing the loan facility to someone, these are the cardinal principle which has been taken care by the bank while providing the loan. Number one is safety. So as the bank lend the money entrusted to it by the depositor, the first and the foremost principle of lending is to ensure the safety of the funds lent. By the safety, it means that the borrower is in a position to repay the loan along with interest according to the terms of the contract. The repayment of loan depends upon the borrower, number one, capacity to pay, and second one is willingness to pay. So the former depends upon his tangible assets and the success of his business. If he is successful in efforts, he earns profit and can repay the loan promptly. Otherwise, the loan is recovered out of the sale proceeds of his tangible assets. The willingness to pay depends upon the honesty and character of the borrower. So the banker should therefore take an utmost care in ensuring that the enterprise or business for which a loan is sought is a sound one and the borrower is capable of carrying it out successfully. Second one is liquidity. So banks are essentially intermediaries for the short-term funds. Therefore, they lend funds for short periods and mainly for working capital purposes. The loans are therefore largely payable on demand. So the bank must ensure that the borrower is able to repay the loan on demand or within a short period. This depends upon the nature of the assets owned by the borrower and pledged to the banker. Next is profitability. So the commercial banks are profit earning institutions. They must employ their funds profitably so as to earn sufficient income out of which to pay interest to the depositor, salaries to the staff, and to meet various establishment expenses and distribute dividend to the shareholder. The rate of interest charged by the banks were in a past primarily dependent on the directives issued by the Reserve Bank. Now banks are free to determine their own rates of interest on advances of above rupees 2 lakh. The variation in the rate of interest charged from different customers depend upon the degree of risk involved in lending to them. A customer with high reputation is charged the lower rate of interest as compared to an ordinary customer. Now move to purpose of the loan. So while lending the funds, the banker inquires from the borrower the purpose for which he seeks the loan. Banks do not grant loans for each and every purpose. They must ensure the safety and the liquidity of their funds for granting loans for productive purposes only. Next is principle of diversification of risk. This is also a cardinal principle of sound lending. A prudent banker always tries to select the borrower very carefully and takes tangible assets as securities to safeguard his interest. Tangible assets are no doubt valuable and banker feels safe while granting advances on the security of such assets. Yet, Some risk is always involved therein. An industry or trade may face depression conditions and the price of the goods and commodities may sharply fall. Natural calamities like floods, earthquakes, and the political disturbances in certain parts of the country may ruin even a prosperous business. To safeguard his interests against such unforeseen contingency, the banker followed the principle of diversification of risk based on the famous maxim, do not keep all the eggs in one basket. It means that the banker should not grant advances to a few big firms only, or to concentrate them in a few industries or in a few cities or regions of the country only. The advances, on the other hand, should be over a reasonably wide area, distributed among a good number of customers belonging to different trades and industries. Now move to forms of advances in banking. So these are the advances which is given by the bank to traders, to industries, to manufacturers, to big firms, right? So number one is cash credit. So cash credit basically cash credit, it is a limit which is provided the bank, which is provided to a customer, which is allowed to borrow money up to a certain limit known as cash credit limit. Usually the borrower is required to provide security in the form of a pledge or hypothecation of tangible security. Sometimes this facility is also provided against personal security. This is a permanent arrangement and the customer need not to draw the sanction amount at once but draw the amount as and when required. He can put back any surplus amount which he may find with them. Therefore, cash credit is an active and running account to which the deposit and withdrawals may be affected frequently. Interest is charged only for the amount withdrawn, not for the whole amount approved. If the customer doesn't use the cash limit to up to the full extent, a commitment charge is made by the bank. This charge is imposed on the unutilized portion of cash credit only. So basically, cash credit is a short-term source of financing for a company, or it's a short-term loan extended to a company by a bank. It enables a company to withdraw money from a bank account without keeping a credit balance. Second is overdraft. So basically, a bank account overdraft happens when an individual bank account balance goes down to below zero, resulting in a negative balance. It usually happens when there are no funds in the account in question, but an outstanding transaction is processed through the account, leading to the account holder incurring a debt. A debt is incurred because with an overdraft, the bank effectively automatically lends the amount necessary to process the transaction to the account holder, and amount that need to be returned along with possible fees. Though it seems helpful to the account holder, costs are spiral out of the control if overdraft are not handled properly and promptly. So basically, we can say that overdraft, it is a credit facility that allows borrower to draw upon as and when they need to. Borrowers pay only what they use. Overdraft is an arrangement between a banker and his customer by which the latter is allowed to withdraw over and above his credit balance in the current account up to an agreed limit. This is only a temporary accommodation, usually granted against security. The borrower is permitted to draw and repay any number of times provided the total amount overdrawn doesn't exceed the agreed limit. The interest is charged only for the amount drawn and not for the whole amount sanctioned. Now move to loans. So basically, loan means a sum of money which is borrowed, often from a bank, and has to be paid back, usually together with an extra amount of money that you have to pay as charge of for borrowing. So loan may be repaid in installments or at the expiry of a certain period. The loan may be made with or without security. A loan once repaid in full or in part cannot be withdrawn again by the customer. In case the borrower wants a further loan, he has to arrange for a fresh loan. Now it has been divided into demand loan and term loan. So demand loan is payable on demand. It is for a short period, usually granted to meet the working capital needs of the borrower. Term loan may be a medium term or long term loan. Medium term loan are granted for a period ranging from 1 to 5 years for vehicle, tools and equipments. There is long term loans are granted for the capital expenditures such as the purchase of land, construction of factory building, purchase of new machinery, modernization of plant. Now move to secured and unsecured loan. So basically, according to section 5 subsection E of the Banking Companies Act 1991, secure loan or advance means such a loan or advance as made against the security assets, market value of which is not at any means less than the amount of such loan or advance. An unsecured loan or advance is that loan or advance or part of it doesn't require sanctioning against the security. Now move to participation loan or custodian loan. So when one single loan is granted by more than financing agency, it is termed as participation or custodian loan. Such participation becomes necessary where either the risk involved is too large for one or more of the participating institution to take individually, or there are administrative or other difficulties in serving and follow up the loan. Next is purchasing and discounting of bill. So bill of exchange as defined in the Negotiable Instrument Act. It is an instrument in writing containing an unconditional order signed by the maker directing a certain person to pay a certain sum of money only to or to the order of a certain person or to the bearer of the instrument. So bank grant advances to their customer by discounting bill of exchange. The net amount after deducting the amount of interest or discount from the amount of the installment is credited to the account of the customer. It is the form of lending. The interest is received by the banker in advance. Now move to types of securities. So basically there are different types of securities: lion, pledge, mortgage, hypothecation. So lion is the first kind of security, which is right of holding the goods of the borrower until the loan is repaid. The borrower remains the owner of the goods, but the possession is given to the lender. The agreement of lion explains whether it relates to a particular debt or in debt in general. In the ordinary line, the creditor has only the right to possession of goods. He has no right to sell it, but the banker line is not the same. The banker has the right to sell the good after the proper notice. The banker gets the property of the customer as his banker. Thus, the papers of money or goods with the banker are not for the purpose other than a line. Next is pledge. So mortgage, second is pledge. So basically pledge is also one of the type of security. It can also be defined as a bailment of goods as protection for payment of money owing or act of a promise. The borrower is called pledger and the banker is called pledgee. In case of pledge, there should be a bailment of goods and the bailment should be on behalf of the debtor on an intending debtor. The delivery of goods is necessary for the contract of bailment. The delivery may be actual or constructive. The constructive delivery is made when the bailee puts the lock on the doors of the godowns storing the pledged goods, or merely key of the lock on the godown's door is received. Next is mortgage. So mortgage is another type of security which is defined as reassigning of interest in a particular fixed property for a reason of protection or payment of funds advanced by a means of loan and presenting of future balance due, or the act of commitment which may be rise to a financial liability. The transfer may be known as mortgager. The transferee may be known as mortgagee. The contract is treated as mortgage deed. Last is hypothecation. Hypothecation means a lawful transaction and essential goods are always accessible as security for a balance due without transferring either the property or the possession to the lender. It is clear that possession and ownership of the goods remain with the borrower and equitable charge is created in favor of the lender. So that is all for today. Thank you so much.